Hello everyone, my name is Tucker, and welcome to a new series on Russian Fishing 4. Today is October 11th, 2022, and earlier today a new tutorial system was released for Russian Fishing 4. So I wanted to play through that. I honestly have no idea what it means, what's in it, or anything like that. But I'd been toying around with creating a character to focus on spin fishing and figured why not go through the brand new tutorial system. So again, today, earlier this morning, a new tutorial system was released. They also implemented a hint system to acquaint new players to the game faster, introduce gifts up to level for each level up to level 10. The qualification system is no longer available to players below 10, and Cottage Pond is no longer available. So it's going to be interesting. I don't know what the changes really mean, but I have not logged into this character at all yet. So you're going to see me logging in for the very first time here. And we'll see what the changes are. For my other series focused on float, there's also a lot of changes to float fishing. So looking forward to potentially playing through that later today as well too. But wanted to get this up today. So it looks like we're logging into Forest Lake. Brand new water body for me. Kind of interested to see how float or how spin fishing goes. If you've seen my other float fishing series, I struggle in the tutorial for float fishing, even or for spin fishing. So I've been messing around on another character a little bit just to see how things went, and I've had a lot of success. So looking forward to it and wanting to see how things go. Um, the gameplay's nice. There we go. Screen was a little bit frozen there. So, brand new tutorial. We suggest that you become familiar with the basic mechanics of the game by passing the tutorial. It will not take much time. Use your mouse to look around. Move around using WSAD. Great. Now it's time to fish. Approach the edge of the lake. And once you go to this orange arrow, watch the float. Wait for a bite. The fish is biting. Wait for the float to drop or move to the side. Pull the catch. Pull the fish. Don't let it get away. 310-gram crucian carp. And it wants you to go ahead and release this one. Now it says cast to the marked area. Watch the float and wait for a bite again. So they did say they made some changes to float fishing for it to be more dynamic and realistic. So I'm curious what that really means long term. I'll put a link to my float fishing series in the description as well too for those who might be interested there. Marker common roach. So when I say marker, that's what that little green icon means. And markers are worth more in-game currency. So now it wants me to change bait. We've been using worms so far. I'm guessing it wants me to use maggots. It's a beautiful little lake here that they've created for the tutorial system. I don't remember even seeing this on another account to be able to come here outside of the tutorial. Decent common roach. Now it wants you to select a spinning rod. Hold U and switch over to that. Cast to the marked area. Spin the reel to complete the run. The fish is hooked. Pull. Don't let it get away. Little perch. Still a marker. Perform a new cast. Hold the button. Release the button to complete the cast. Spin the reel to complete the rig run. I don't know if you saw the fish jump there. Looks like it's a serious contender. Keep pulling. Hold the button. It's interesting that they do have you fighting a pretty good fish during the tutorial just so you can learn that and see how that goes. This is definitely new. Looks like it's a chub. Might have worn it out somewhat. Nope, it's back to swimming around. You can press Z as in Zulu to zoom in. I bet it'll tell us that later. That's what I've done here. No, it's a pike. .5 kilogram pike. Training completed. Congratulations, you've completed the tutorial. And then it sends you to Mosquito. So they have redone Mosquito, Winding, and Quarry a little bit. I didn't see a whole lot of changes, but they have said that fish will behave a little bit differently, as well as are worth a little bit more in some cases. So welcome, Spinnerlive. Welcome to Russian Fishing 4. Take your time to explore the diverse water bodies and catch unforgettable fish. Discover new equipment and specialize your character while participating in exciting tournaments, or just enjoy fishing with friends and sharing your experience with the community. Meet you at the water's edge. Tight lines. So it does put you into Mosquito, same place you always log in. Press F1 to see controls. And now it's basically letting us do what we want to do. So again, I'll be mainly focusing on spin fishing, but there will definitely be some float fishing. They did say a lot of the rods have additional capacity, so I wanted to look at that. It does have a 3.9 kilogram capacity. They also changed the reels to be a little bit more accurate to 1 decimal point. So to the 10th of the kilogram. So that's definitely interesting. So they got pretty decent setup on the spin fish. And then on the telestick, so you can press U and it'll show you, it'll allow you to set your rods into a button. So I'm going to put my telestick in 1. Right now I'm going to put my spin fish in 3. Press escape to use the control panel here. So there's all of these different options. You can switch lakes. You can buy a map. Oh, they actually give you a map of Mosquito to start with. Didn't used to do that. I'm actually curious what all's in our inventory. So 2 size 16 hooks and a size 14 plus whatever's on the telestick. Another 16. So it's a 3.1 kilogram line on a 4 kilogram rod. Same lures they always give you. You start off with bloodworms, which you didn't used to do either. Other than this, they do start you out with a map of Mosquito and a small landing net. So what I always like to do is go up to the cafe and see what orders are available. So these fish will always pay more in-game silver than catching and selling to the fish market. Now, they've said some of the common early game fish, they've increased the price at the fish market significantly. I don't know what that means. I'm kind of interested to see that. But looking over here, big mirror carp, not going to be going after that. Definitely could probably get some Crucian gibbles. Perch for spin fishing would probably be decent. Pike, that's a pretty good sized pike. Pretty good sized chub for the equipment that we start with. So let's go see, do a little bit of float fishing to start. Spin fishing will get a lot better. At least it used to be. I wanted to see if they changed this at all. as far as using a leader, typically that requires being level 8, and your bite rate would go up significantly when that happens. So I want to go look at that and see if the fluorocarbon leaders still require level 8 or if they change that. So no, they still have a player restriction of level 8, and the small ones are out of stock here. Good to know there. We can buy one here though for 1250 silver. And then I'm also curious about lures. Um, I've seen it and had a lot of good luck, and they actually have added it to Mosquito, and I saw it at Winding on another character. This Spiker 2018. Now, granted, it will cost basically all the silver that we have, but I think it's worth it to use and see what happens. So let's go ahead and go over to Winding Rivulet. These two lakes are open, or these two water bodies are open when you start. The rest of these open up as you level up. They have not added a new lake at all. The first two you can travel to for free when you get to Oldburg, which you unlock at level 12. That starts costing silver just to travel to. So the in-game currency is called silver. I'll call it silver. I'll also call it dollars and cents a lot of times as well too. So let's go over to Winding Rivulet. So again, we don't have a leader, which is a little bit of a risk. If we get a good sized pike, it's possible they could bite that 50 silver lure off that we just bought. As far as the cafe orders go, there's a perch order here. Other than that, nothing really jumping out at me. They have said that they've increased the price of gudgeon. That might be something to play around with later on, or at least play around with on my other character. But one of the best spots for spin fishing is just right up here, just past the cafe. I don't think I have a map here, and I can't afford one yet, but we're at 72.85 and standing on this little dock. Many years ago, this dock didn't even exist before they redid Winding Rivulet a while back. They redone a little bit of Winding Rivulet here. I haven't seen a whole lot of difference. It looks like they've smoothed out some of the terrain a little bit, but I like setting up here, aiming right at that tree. You can hold shift and you'll cast as hard as you possibly can. And I like to almost hit that tree and then let it sink to the bottom. And then set your retrieval speed to 20. So you hold down R and use the mouse wheel to scroll up and down. And if you see in the bottom, it's now set to 20. Then I also like to set my friction brake to 20. And then I like to turn parallel with the dock here and just slowly reel in. And then after a little bit, hold down shift. And usually you'll get a thing in the bottom left corner that says speed up. I didn't see it that time, so I kind of reset it. Reeled in most of my line because I don't have a whole lot of skill points yet, or any skill points invested. So let's give it another try. Cast it out, lock the bail, let it sink for a second, start reeling it in, count to 3, 2, 3, and then hold shift down. And there you can see speed up in the bottom left corner. And usually, especially with the leader, and we had a bite there, but it did not quite hook, which is unfortunate. Especially with the leader, and I didn't put on the spiker. That's probably why I'm not getting a bite. So you can hold down B as in Bravo, or B as in bait, to put on a different lure. So I put on that spiker 0218 that we just bought. And now let's see if our bite rate improves. So again, didn't even have to do a speed up. We've got a fish on. Probably a chub or perch in this area is what I tend to get. And this is a 356 gram chub. We got 52 experience points and leveled up spin fishing a little bit. So Russian Fishing 4 is a little bit of a role-playing game where you do level up. And there are 3 different types of fishing. There's float fishing and spin fishing, which you've already seen through the tutorial and now. And then there's also bottom fishing. We'll definitely get some bottom rods later on. But just to start out, Definitely a good thing. So 52 of 300 experience points, and you see that in the bottom left. So to level up and get a skill point, you need to get to that 300 experience points. So I just hit my personal record for casting distance at 14.5 meters. And as you level up and get better equipment, you'll definitely be able to cast further. So got the speed up going. Didn't get a bite. I like to a lot of times just let off and let it sink if I don't get a bite. And having a leader will definitely increase your bite rate. And I don't know if you saw that perch come up and just grab the lure there at the very end. So another small perch, 245 grams, 46 experience points. We'll keep that. And we'll go ahead and cast at the tree again. And 15-meter cast that time. Wind is a little bit at our back, so that does help a little bit. But again, turn perpendicular to the river, parallel with the dock here. Get your speed up. When it goes away, let off shift. Reel in for another few seconds. Hold down shift again. Get your speed up again. I like to let it sink, especially if I haven't gotten a bite towards the end. And a lot of times, what you saw the last time, that perch will just come out of nowhere and grab it. So I also have a lot of luck sometimes going up the other branch of the river there. So again, cast it out, let it sink. Usually if I'm casting up the other river, I'll just do a straight retrieve facing it, and we've got a bite already. Another smallish fish, but it's still a decent fish. Looks like another perch. This one's probably 400 to 500 gram. So biggest fish we've caught, strongest fish we've caught, and maximum experience points. So 175 experience points. So because we're using a light tackle rod, we actually get bonus experience. So to me, it's going to be interesting to see if leveling via spin fishing levels up quicker than the silver comes in. A lot of times silver is the gate in this game. And because we're getting bonus experience points by using light tackle, I'm wondering if that's going to impact things. I've never really done spin fishing from the start. I've always either done the typical get 3 bottom rods going as fast as you can, which is typically your fastest way to level up. But wanted to focus on spin fishing, wanted to learn about spin fishing a little bit. So that's what we're doing here today. Usually with a leader on, so if you have a fluorocarbon leader, the last few centimeters of your line is completely invisible to the fish. Usually if I have a leader on, I'm getting a bite every single cast here. And it's usually pretty good fish. I actually caught a 3 kilogram chub using this exact rod on another account. Right here. So we may move to another location I like to fish as well here in a little bit. But just wanted to at least get up to level 2 here. So a new personal record for the longest cast, another 15-meter cast. And later on, I'll be casting 40, 50, 60 meters. And we've got another fish on here. Looks like a small chub, 63-gram chub, 9 experience points. It's one of the smallest chubs I've ever seen. Cute little guy. So in the bottom left corner, there are 4 bars as well. The top one is your overall energy, which helps when you're fighting a fish as well as casting distance. The second one is food, and here at Winding and Mosquito, once an in-game day, you can get free food to fill that up. The next one is health, and the only time I've really seen that go down is drinking good fish on. So I'm turning up my friction brake a little bit, which will help not let the fish pull against my line and pull line out of my reel. So this one's still pretty small, probably just over a kilo, but a good fish. So you can drink alcohol in the game, which gives you a little bit of comfort as well as bonus experience points. And if you drink too much alcohol, it can damage your health. Otherwise, I've never seen health go down. And then your bottom one is comfort, and comfort will go down in the rain when it's cold outside. And you can gain comfort by eating hot food, drinking tea, or sitting next to a fire. So new achievement, bunch of different achievements there. We leveled up to level 2 and level 3 on this fish. So it was a 1.8 kilogram chub, 470 base experience points, bonus of 235 experience points. So 705 total experience points, and we got up to spin fishing 1. So congratulations on reaching level 2. We have prepared a gift for you. Gifts await for reaching each of the first 10 levels. They gave us a Dragonfly Bell 2002 lure. Congratulations on reaching level 3. This time it's a Dragonfly Long 1002. So that again is new in the latest update. Wasn't sure what they were going to give us. I'm kind of curious if it's different if you were float fishing or bottom fishing instead of spin fishing, but not going to try that. I may play around on another character. Don't have another one created. So I had actually created this character before the update, but I'd never logged into it. So it did just tell us to increase the friction brake, upward, downward to reduce the load. And if you look in the bottom left corner, fish got away. That's unfortunate. So I had a fish on it, but because I tried to lift it up a little bit too early, the fish got away and became unhooked. So that's always unfortunate. You'll see that from time to time, and later on you can upgrade your hooks on the lures, which will reduce the chance of that happening. So we've been recording about 22 minutes so far. We got 5 fish after the tutorial. I think the tutorial was 5 fish as well. So not too bad. A little bit of a slow bite rate. Honestly, I do think it'll go up when you get to level 8 and are able to use that fluorocarbon leader. That was my experience just in this spot usually is when I switched over to using a fluorocarbon leader. I was able to get a lot higher bite rate. But I think that 1.8 kilogram chub will be worth a decent amount of silver as well too. So let's go down to a different spot and see what we can get from down there. So you can press backspace to put your rod away there. I've actually mapped that to a button on my mouse as well too, just to make it a little bit easier. So I was mentioning food over here at Winding. This is the field kitchen. You can press E as in echo or E as in E to eat food, and that'll fill up your food. And since it's hot food, it'll usually increase your comfort as well. So that 1.8 kilogram chub was worth 7.5 silver. 450 gram perch was worth a silver 45. So not too bad. 5 fish, 9 silver. So the main reason I wanted to do that is so that I can come over here to the administration building. You can press E and you can buy a map for 5 silver. So again, they gave you that map at Mosquito, but here at Winding you have to purchase the map. So where I like to go fish, and I've had some really good success recently, I have not tried it after the update, is going down this way. So I think they've leveled things out a little bit here. I don't remember. I remember that that dock being a little bit of a sharper incline to get down to it. And then it looks like in here the water's receded a little bit. I think it was a little bit higher up before. So in the patch notes, they did say they made some changes to Winding, as well as Mosquito and Quarry Lake. So where I like to go is right over here at the end of this peninsula. You do have to be a little bit careful. You can get snagged in those reeds over there, but we're right here. So this is a campsite. You can cook food there later. We'll definitely get into that. But I like to set up here and walk up close to this down tree and cast as far out as I can. Let it sink. And then reel in again with a 20 speed. And we already have a fish on. Didn't even have to do a speed up. So I tend to get a lot of good chub down here. I've seen occasionally perch, occasionally asp. If you aim a little bit more to the right over there, occasionally we will get pike here. Pike can bite your lure off, so you have to be a little bit careful. But another chub. No, this was actually a perch. I was wrong. Decent perch. It was a marker perch as well, too. So that's basically another silver in the bank. And there was a perch order, so if we end up getting enough of them, we could sell the perch to the cafe and make a little bit more silver. Early game, especially if you're not focusing on a certain discipline of fishing, I do like to target the various cafe orders as much as you can. That's probably your best way of making silver. And especially early on, silver is the gate to advancing. So with silver, you can buy new reels, new rods, new lures, new baits, and kind of better rods, better reels, better line, fluorocarbon leaders. So, and you need a ton of silver and you need a ton of experience points. So right now we need 500 experience points for a level. Later on, it will be millions of experience points per level to level up. So Russian Fishing 4 is definitely a game that has a grind to it. You can play as a free-to-play. You do not have to buy a subscription. There are options for a subscription. There are options to buy equipment with real money, but you still have to level up to be able to use it usually as well too. So if you buy the subscription, you usually get a little bit of a bonus to experience once a day through your happy hour and a little bit better chance to get skill ups. So where you see we're up to a little bit over 1% spin fishing, you get a better chance of getting those. So small perch, 1.6%. I also have some good luck casting over here. Occasionally, especially at night, I tend to get asp over here. And we already have a fish on. Didn't even have the bail locked. As soon as the lure hit the water, we had a fish on. So another small perch. And right now, definitely quantity of fish over quality. We don't have the equipment we really need. We don't have skill points that will help boost the fish sizes, things like that. We don't have leaders unlocked yet. So right now, it's all about leveling, trying to get to level 8 as quickly as possible here. So about half an hour into the video so far. I've been pretty happy with the new tutorial. It was definitely a little bit different of a process. I think they showed a little bit more of the game off in it. And I do like that they gave you the map at mosquito, which they didn't used to do, as well as bloodworms. I love to fish with bloodworms for float and bottom fishing. So we will definitely do some bottom fishing. I caught some good chub bottom fishing here as well too. And again, I expect it to be a little slow early on. We don't have a leader, so the fish can see the line leading up to the lure in the water, and that can scare them off to a degree. So the current is going from left to right here in this river. So Winding is a river. It does have a current. And if you just let off, you can see that my line is slowly floating from left to right as well. And if you really want to see that, pulling out float fishing. So here they actually have you adjusting the depth of your float. So right now it's at a meter. Honestly, pretty deep. But if you go to 30 centimeters and then bloodworm, I'd like to have a smaller hook than we currently have. So we've got a 16. If I had a 20, I think this would be better. But if you just watch the float, you can see how it's drifting with the current. It says that just above the tension bar at the bottom. And you can see it going down the river. So float fishing does have a special float camera for the rod you're holding. That's what's in the center. People will come here, fish for bleak, kind of like I'm doing right now, and use it for bait fish as higher levels. But bleak fishing can be very good from an experience point of view as well too. Here's probably not the best spot for bleak fishing, but I wanted to just come down here and cast out so you could see a little bit better that current in the river. And it's even a little bit dynamic where closer to the shore it may not be flowing as quickly as it is further out. We're getting a little bit of a nibble there. $35-gram dace. So up to level 4 as well. Congratulations on reaching level 4. We've prepared a gift for you. Gifts await for reaching each of the first 10 levels. Gave some semolina porridge. So this is a bait that you can attach to your float and bottom rods and is usually pretty good for gibble carp. Also a lot of times for roach as well. So you can, now that we've leveled up to 4, we've unlocked some skill points. So you can press O as in Oscar and open up this screen. So there is float fishing, spin fishing, bottom fishing, harvesting baits. So for bottom fishing and float fishing, this is definitely important. Cooking, we'll do some of that as well too, because that just helps you level up your cooking skills and gives you can use that to level up your harvesting baits by having food. Making ground bait, which is more of a bottom fishing, float fishing thing. So if you're not in Europe, it's more of a European style where you basically make a ball of bait and use that to attract fish to your ground rods or your float rods. And then you can also make lures in the game. So that's usually higher levels just because it is more silver. So you can click on each category and see the options: fishing with a telescopic rod, using a rig with a fixed line, using a spinning rod. So using a spinning reel will go across float fishing, spin fishing, and bottom fishing. So putting points into that will go across all of the rods. Later on, not currently with float fishing, you can get rods that actually have a reel on it. So fishing with a spinning reel gives you casting distance, accuracy +5 if you put a point into it, and control of fish. Having control of fish is good. That usually gives you the ability to pull in bigger fish, and a lot of times will improve the quality of fish. And that's kind of what it says here. So if you do use fishing with spinner baits, the technique of fishing with spinner baits improves. The higher the technique, the greater the chance of catching a trophy or a bigger fish. So what I like to do early on is put a point in spinning reels, a point in spinning rod, and a point in spinning baits, and just kind of level these up as you go, especially if you're going to be focusing on a certain discipline of fishing early on. So a lot of people will go for bottom fishing. Using a simple bottom rig, using a feeder rod are good choices. I'd usually put points into using a feeder rod and then paternoster or classic hair rig later. But as you can see, I put a point in spinning reel in spin fishing, and it counted in bottom fishing, and it counted in float fishing. So that should help get us a little bit better fish. Now you do get one free reset only once, and I would recommend waiting until you're in your level 20s before you do that. Usually by then, having points in anything isn't going to hurt you, and by then you'll understand what type of fishing you want to do. So I am going to go ahead and take my spinning rod back out, and let's see if putting those points in helped. So got another 1/2 meter in my cast. And there's a fish on. Another small one. So you can press R as in Romeo, and that's where it says now the reel handle rotation speed is selected automatically. That's one way to tell if you actually have a fish on. So it's another small perch, 12 experience points. We'll cast out here again. So new longest cast again, 15.5 meters. And part of that is because we put points into using a spinning rod. So we're able to cast a little bit farther. Basically, if you think about it, you've learned how to cast better. Another fish on. Another perch. Another fish on. Looks like another perch. Yep. This one's at least a marker. Up to 2.4% spin fishing. So usually upgrading spin fishing or bottom fishing or float fishing will unlock new rods, new lures, that type of thing. For bottom and float fishing, harvesting baits is important. Leveling that up, because that's how you get new baits. Now, I think they added some more to the store that you can buy, but making it yourself is definitely cheaper, more cost effective, and better long run. So 697 gram perch, that's a decent perch. 268 experience points and up to 2.6 spin fishing. So I did mention that the rod has a bonus to experience. So because we're using a light rod, it does have a 50% bonus to experience. I pressed V as in Victor while holding the rod to pull this screen up. So here you can see that we have a 3.2 kilogram reel on here. We've got 120 meters of 3.1 kilogram line on, both a little bit worn, but not bad at all. We do not have a leader because you have to be level 8 to use that. And we've got the spiker number 2, 018 on. And then the other thing to look at is you may come in here and it looks like this. If you press that I, it'll open up and you can see that we've got a load capacity on the rod of 3.9. So usually the way you want things is you want your rod to be your strongest, then you want your reel to be your next strongest, especially early on, and then you want your line, and finally you want your leader. That way if something breaks, your leader breaks first, you might lose your hook, your bait, your lure, but you don't lose your line, you don't break your reel. You don't break your rod. It is possible to break a reel, break a rod, and then if you break a rod, you can't fix it. If you break a reel, it is expensive to fix. You do not want to do that. Later on, there is a concept of mechanism weight that we can get into, but early on, just look at your friction brake weight and use that. So another perch, another small one, not quite a marker, but we're up to level 4.5, and we've been fishing for about 41 minutes. And that includes the tutorial, which I think was about 5 or 10 minutes. Got another fish on. Another perch. I'll take it. So we hit 16 meters there for a cast, new record cast. So you do have a keep net, and you can see that in the bottom right corner above the compass, where it shows I've got 11 of 100 fish. So you can keep 100 fish on you. They last up to 24 hours in real life time. And in game, 1 real life hour is 1 day in game. So we did get another marker perch, a little over half a kilogram, 204 experience points there. Some people ask, why is the game called Russian Fishing 4? It's fishing in Russia. Some of the lakes are actually modeled off of or real lakes in Russia. The developers are Russian. I think there's also some other countries involved as well too. But that's why it's called Russian Fishing 4. Another good fish. This one's actually pulling on drag a little bit. Don't want to go too much over where we get red tension at the bottom there. This is a good chub. 1.2 kilogram chub. New level. We've reached level 5. 307 experience points with a bonus of 153. 460 total. We're up to spin fishing 3.5 as well too. So we did get another lure, Dragonfly Stream 2006. It looks like it does take into account how you're fishing. So when we were float fishing and leveled up, we got ground bait, or we got a bait. When we've been spin fishing, we've gotten free lures. And I will not say no to a free lure. We will definitely be buying some more lures. We'll be trying some new lures. Usually at night, things will slow down, especially with this current lure, but it's usually pretty successful as well too. So we'll keep going here for a little bit. It didn't get too hot out here tonight, so we'll see how things go. I've seen it be 25 degrees Celsius. So in the upper right corner is what I'm looking at, where it says 17.5 degrees. I've seen it get 23, 24, 25, and usually when that happens, the bite rate just goes down the drain. And if you're float fishing, you usually have to go deeper to get fish when it gets cold, when it gets warmer out. Another little perch. Let's cast over here at that log. I usually have better luck casting off to the right, but there's times I like to just try different areas. And especially with it starting to get night, usually off over this way, um, asp and chub tend to hang out as well. So you can press F to use a flashlight. So it is a little bit deeper out that way. You can look at the map and see that. So it's 4.5 meters deep out from about there over. Got a fish on, and I'm not sure why I started walking there. That was interesting. Oh, I know why. My mouse hit the arrow keys. I was sitting with my mouse on the corner of my laptop here and hit the arrow keys. So I'd different species of fish. First one we caught, a little over a quarter of a kilo. Definitely good experience points. I will get eyed here at night as well too, and are strong fish. 1 kilo eyed can really pull, but they're also rare. You won't get them all the time. And especially on spin fishing, they're usually more of a bottom fishing fish and a high level bottom fishing fish as well. So the technique I usually like to use here is either just a straight retrieve or a retrieve and speed up by holding shift. And looks like another chub. Marker chub, just barely a marker. But I'll take it. Another 88 experience points. We might get up to level 6 before I wrap today up. Usually I like to record about an hour or so. I think I mentioned it earlier. 1 hour in real life is a 24-hour period in game. So when I mentioned at Mosquito and at here at Winding, you can get free food. That's once an hour at either Mosquito or Winding. You can get free food. Once an hour real lifetime. Decent fish. So I lift the rod up by pressing right click and you reel in by left click. You can reel in faster by holding shift. So a marker perch. With it being a little bit dark out, I'm not surprised we're getting perch. And again, without a leader, I'm not surprised we're getting perch. Perch are usually less cautious than chub or asp are. Asp are usually really cautious. That's a little bit risky for possibly getting snagged. We'll see. Where I did the speed up there is usually where I get snagged there if I'm going to get snagged. So. Long term, we'll get some different lures that will probably work a little bit better at night. The spiker's a good all around lure, usually better in the day. But there's usually darker lures work better at night. So we'll look into possibly another spiker, possibly the Aquilas. I've had good luck with the Aquilas at night. Or we may end up doing some bottom fishing and float fishing during the night. Because there are definitely species to target that are worth a decent amount of silver. So a lot of times what I will do is I will, my kind of long-term thought here is get two bottom rods, two ground rods, two feeder rods, whatever you want to call them, and throw those out. Those will kind of automatically hook a fish if a fish bites it. So you can press 0 to set your rod on the ground. So we can put 3 of them. You can have up to 3 rods out. So I can have the spin fishing rod out, pick my feeder rod or my float rod out, cast the float rod out. I can't tell if the spin rod's just floating or if there's actually a fish on it. But anyways, you can get 3 total rods out. So having 2 bottom rods and the spin rod is probably what we're going to long term do. Float fishing is too interactive to be doing it and spin fishing at the same time. Usually for me, if you watch my other series, I can usually do about 2 float rods at the same time and then have a bottom rod as well too. Otherwise, having 3 float rods, having to watch 3 floats, remember which one's which. And if all 3 of them are getting a nibble at the same time, I get a little indecisive and usually miss more fish. But with the changes to float fishing, who knows? I may be better with 3 rods. We'll see. But I'll usually have 2 float rods and a bottom rod or 3 bottom rods or a spin rod and 2 bottom rods. Or if you're trolling so you can get in a boat at Mosquito, at Quarry, at some of the other rivers and go up and down the river. If I'm trolling, I'll have 2 spin rods. So little chub, 350 gram, but it'll do. We're 3/4 the way to level 6. Another 16-meter cast. My voice is struggling today. The winds picked up. We had a little bit of rain here this morning, and my allergies are getting a little crazy, especially with the leaves changing and falling. But definitely been nice weather. Took the dog for a walk earlier today, and he was happy. So, again, goal is to get up to level 8 as quickly as possible. I think we'll get to level 6 before the end of this video, and then try and get 7 and 8 in the next episode. Not sure how I'm going to handle the 2 series at the same time. So again, I do have a float fishing series that I've been starting. I had no idea this update was coming. I actually logged in today during some time at that 4-letter W word. I work from home and was surprised to see a pretty big update. So did not expect to be creating this series quite yet, but wanted to get it up, especially since it's day 1 of the new tutorial. So was definitely an interesting new concept. I do like the getting free lures, free baits. I think that's going to help things out and help new players out because a lot of times being limited on the baits you can use, especially for float and ground rods early on, was a struggle. And I did see one of the things in the notes was they added the porridges section to the stores and your inventory. So I'm actually curious if you can buy semolina porridge or garlic dough or sweet dough, honey dough in this store now. May actually go look at that before we wrap things up, just out of curiosity. So So another area that usually has some success is over here by the campsite. So you've got a campfire here that you can cook with. You can cook fish, things like that. But casting off towards these logs can be successful. A lot of times I run into pike out here as well too. So I have to be a little careful, especially since we don't have a leader at all right now. And we got a big fish on. Again, pike have sharp teeth. They can bite through your line. You can get steel leaders, which help prevent that. Um, Thicker fluorocarbon leaders also usually are good for pike not being able to bite through. That looks like a chub or an asp to me. I think it's a chub. 1.4 kilo chub got us to level 6. Another 500 experience points. You can release the fish for bonus experience points. Usually early on, you're going to keep the fish. So this time they gave us some more line. So we got 100 meters of 3.5 kilogram line. That is monofilament line. So there are 3 different types of line. Monofilament's kind of the mid line. It's thicker than braided, but it's less visible than braided. Fluorocarbon line is basically invisible in water, but it's the thickest and it's the most expensive. Braided, you will a lot of times use on your reels and then put the fluorocarbon leader on at the end so that your lure is kind of just hanging out in the water rather than being seen tied to some line. Getting fluorocarbon, you can get mono line that's 10 silver, you can get braided line that's 20 to 30 silver, and you can get fluorocarbon line that's 100 silver for 100 meters. And braided line is the thinnest, it's the most visible though, but you can get more of it on your reel, which is important for catching big fish. So you can let them take more of it off your line, off your reel, and wear themselves out and then reel them in. One thing you will notice is the day night cycle. Definitely longer days, shorter nights. It's possible we're up further north in Russia, and each lake has their own day night cycle as well too. So they're not all. If I travel to a different lake at 3 a.m., it might be bright and sunny, whereas the sun's just starting to come up here. Got another decent fish on here. Another chub. Just under a kilogram. There is a record system in the game for the biggest fish. So you see there that someone caught a global record, weekly record. So there's water body records, there's weekly records, and then there's also regional records as well too. So someone caught a Kester herring that was a global weekly record. So to look at that, you press escape, records and ratings, and then here's all the fish at Winding Rivulet that have been caught. So we've been catching chub that are 1-2 kilo. The record is 7.8 kilograms, and that was actually using oblique as bait, grasshopper. So the grasshopper is going to be float or bottom rods, that type of thing. US weekly, so there are different servers based on your region. Let's look at the US chub. So 6.3 long term. I think that's one of the lures they gave us for free. That's the kilo I talk about. That's usually good at night. And then you can also check weekly records, and this is going to be across all lakes. So some lakes have bigger fish in general than others. So Volkhov, Tunguska, that type of thing. And if you look at chubs, they are at many different locations, although it looks like people have been catching the biggest ones at Winding with that free spinner. Here's the spinner we're using, the Spiker 2018. So definitely interesting. And a lot of times I'll use this to get an idea of what baits, especially if I'm bottom fishing or float fishing, what baits to use to catch larger fish. So, if you're going after frog, looks like flies do pretty good. Random bloodworm did really good as well too. So cast a couple more times here for just over an hour. I want to wrap this up and then decide if I'm going to record a float fishing episode or not as well. But hopefully going to get this posted here shortly. I haven't seen a whole lot of people post a YouTube video of the new tutorial, so wanted to log in and do that real quick, just see what happens here. So I'm definitely going to try and do this at least every other day, if not post a couple of videos a day. May have some shorter videos than a full day, especially spin fishing. At night being a little bit slower, we may only do daytime fishing or spin fishing for a little bit. But we'll go ahead and go back and sell the 21 fish we've caught. We'll stop at the cafe on the way and see if we got anything. I think we did get enough for the perch order, which I'm curious how that works out. If they said they've increased the price of fish that early fishers usually go after significantly. I don't know what significantly means. I'm curious. So those 2 kilogram chubs are usually 4 to 5 silver before. I'm curious what they're up to now and that type of thing. So let's go look at the cafe and see what we've got first, and then we'll look at the fish market. So here at Winding, the cafe is right here. Again, it is in Russia, so it is in acrylic. But there is 5 50-gram perch. So one thing you want to do is you do not want to sell your marker fish. Your marker fish are going to be worth more to the fish market. So always sort by weight, and always sell your 5 smallest. So here we can sell these 5 small perch and we would get 10 silver. If we sell those same 5 perch to the fish market here, they're all over 50, we would get 0.17 silver. So definitely worth it. One thing you do have to be careful of is if you see this number in blue, that is the in-game time before this order expires. So this has 100 hours on it. This gudgeon order expires in 37 hours, that type of thing. Usually these bottom 2 will be trophy level fish, so big fish, or especially with this Donitz rough, very rare big fish. But we will go ahead and sell these 5 perch for 10 silver. That gets us up to 14. Didn't get any roach, didn't get any rough. Rough are very good for bottom fishing, float fishing. More roach, mussel, bleak. So didn't really get anything else here. So we'll go sell the rest of them to the fish market here. So if we sort by price, I would say it's up a little bit, maybe a silver or two from average prices as from before. But 16 fish, 19 silver, not bad at all. So 5 silver for this kilo and a half chub. So I'll take it. Gets us up to 34 silver. We haven't quite paid for the lure that we bought yet, but pretty close. And again, I didn't expect to. I expected it to be a little bit slow early on since we didn't have the leader, but we did make enough silver to be able to purchase the leader. So it is after midnight. I do like to grab food before we wrap things up for the day. So I do appreciate everyone coming by. I'm going to try and get this posted tonight and see if I can get a float session recorded overnight as well too. So they did add some more baits, but it requires using gold. So gold is real money coins you can buy. So I was kind of curious if they added where you could buy it with silver, a lot of these baits, but it looks like you can only buy them with gold. So it was just a curiosity of mine with the changes they made. So again, there are tons and tons and tons of things to buy. Just scrolling through, that's just all the rods that you can buy. All the different types of line, all the different types of baits, boilies, different size boilies. So that'll be late game fishing, dips, all the different types of lures, and there are tons of them. So definitely a lot to do, a lot to learn, a lot to have fun with, but appreciate everyone watching. I'll get this posted tonight, and we'll go from there, and look forward to seeing you all come back in the future. Feel free to comment below and like, subscribe, and all of that. Again, my name is Tucker. This was an introduction to Russian Fishing 4 with the new tutorial system. Thank you all for joining, and we'll see you all later.